Alright, Shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Alright, Hebrews. I want to talk about one of the world's greatest kept secret. And man, it is kept secret for a reason. And that's like one of the videos that I had, the world's best kept secret. Man, they've been taking videos off YouTube left and right. They most recent videos that they took and deleted is destroying the Israelites while they're out of heritage, make the enemy's job easy. I'm going to try to put in a little of that history in this video. And it's like, they would want to destroy us while we are out of heritage, is what that video was about that YouTube took down. I ain't violating no policies. I wasn't talking about no COVID, no misinformation, and none of that. No cursing, no threatening, or none of that. They done took down quite a few good key central videos, I think, that would help the Israelites understand their heritage easier. They've been taking those videos down, and it's like, destroying us out of heritage. I think that was a key video that they took down, is because I'm showing you that we Israelites, and then I was showing how they destroying us while we out of heritage, while we up under the Negro name, the blacks, the African American, and all those subversive titles that they done put on us. And each one of those titles have a history in a destruction mechanism, that was created for it. That's like the N word, you know what I'm saying? The nigg word. Man, we know that they beat the mess out of us on the plantation, and that's what we was called for a long time. And then we know that they tried to progress the name into to colors. I think it was Negroes, colors before Negroes, and then man, they dogged us out up under the name colored. I think that's the Jim Crow era, and then it turned into Negroes. Man, they dogged us out under the name Negroes, and man, they created all kind of mischief in our communities, and man, we got dogged out real bad under those titles. And then they come with the title Afro-American, and then African American, and we know that the real African Americans are the Africans that then moved from Africa and settled in America, and then they are called African Americans. Those are the real African Americans, are the Africans that left Africa willingly and moved to America and so forth. Because us Israelites are not African Americans, and how we are Israelites, and how no matter where we're born in and whatever nation, that we still gonna be Israelites, because that's what our forefathers was, and we was moved involuntarily. Alright, that video, they took down, man. I think I did a pretty good job explaining how that they been destroying us while we out of heritage, and that's what they want to continue to do. And then that's why they put all those false titles and names and such on us, because they can destroy us under those titles, and then those titles won't be remembered in history. That's like ain't nobody studying the era when we was called colors and so forth. That's not popular in our community. The same with the Negroes and the nickname. They're not popular, and it's not popular history, and they done buried it, and you can hardly find books with the Negro and colored title that was put on us and so forth. Because if you do, you'll understand the history that was going on during that era. And then the other video that they took, one of the world's best kept secret, is that I was showing how the Seb Hardy rabbi, who's supposed to be a historian, I think his name Abram Henry or something like that, and then how he talked about all the Israelites all around the world in the diaspora, but he never mentioned the so-called blacks, the Negroes, the African Americans in America are from the transatlantic slave trade as being Israelites, and then how he promote, other ethnic groups being Israelites all around the world. And then I show in that video how he skipped certain parts of Tanakh history, especially the prophet Jeremiah, when it showed that the Israelites ran into Africa during the Babylonian wars and never returned, and how this Abram Harrison, supposed to be a rabbi and supposed to know the Tanakh like the back of his hand, and then how he never spoke the truth on the issue about the real Israelites. And I show how that the Sephardists, who are Amorites, been in our heritage, and then how they got our heritage after we abandoned it. And then that's what I want to make this video, man, about. The Amorites got the land back from the Israelites, where they get to keep it forever. Right now, the way it stand, man, it look like they can have our heritage forever in eternity. But we know that Tanakh prophecies are on time, and that Almighty Yah prophets our redemption, and then how we Israelites will get a chance to come back into our heritage after the covenant was broke. If you read throughout the Tanakh, man, you will find all kind of history dealing with the Israelites in our being restored to our heritage. And the reason we would have to be restored to our heritage is because we broke the covenant during the Babylonian wars that would allow us to stay in the land, and that one of the curses and prophecies from prophet Moses, that if we broke the covenant, that how we would be chased out the land and how we would lose the land. Man, I got plenty of videos going into that showing that after we broke the covenant, that how we had to get up off the land, because Almighty Yah told us from the beginning we would have to get up off the land. And that's throughout the covenant contract, and that will be Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. It's what's called the Torah, and within the Torah, you'll see that part of the agreement for the Israelites to stay up on the land was that the Israelites had to follow the law that the Creator gave to prophet Moses, and then that how we will be a priestly nation to the whole earth, and we will represent the Creator and bring other nations to the Creator. But that if we should break that covenant and decide not to do that, that how we will get chased up off the land. We will get chased up off the land, and it went about and come about during this area in history that's called the Babylonian Wars, and then what a coincidence is that when we was chased down by the Babylonians, that the people, the Amorites that we abandoned our heritage to, were Amorites from Babylon. So they didn't get chased out our land when we Israelites broke the covenant during the Babylonian Wars. That's like 800 something years after Exodus. In the book of Jeremiah, go into detail. But how we Israelites went into Africa, and those Amorites that was present in our land, that was doing our heritage for a long time, didn't go into Africa with us. And then the whole world has been tricked and deceived by thinking that they are the original Israelites and so forth. And then it'll make you question, will the real Israelites get their land back? Being that the whole world is deceived, man, about this little history, and I'm gonna try to explain it and break it down to you where it can be real easily understood. We know that that we Israelites after exiting Egypt, that we Israelites never got it right, and that that's what the Tanakh is about, is how we never got it right, and that how we didn't do what we were supposed to by the covenant contract that Moses gave us. And then, when we was Exodus and saved from Egypt and then given that law, we Israelites, men broke covenant, was transgressing the covenant immediately, and that'd be when Prophet Moses went up to get the law, and then we made Hathor the golden calf. The golden calf is Hathor, the queen of heaven, and then how we start worshiping that. So and then from then on out, we never did get it right, and then Prophet Moses had said this to us as a warning. Man, if you go to when you go to Deuteronomy 16, Deuteronomy 31:16. That's 31 and then 16. And the Elohim said unto Moses, Behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up and go a whoring after the gods of the strangers of the land, whether they go to be among them, and will forsake me and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they shall say in that day, are not all these evils come upon us because our Yah is not with us? And then Prophet Moses go down and kind of like say the same thing, that we would, break bad and break the covenant. And then one thing about breaking the covenant and forsaking the Creator is that you'll be driven off the land. Man, it's a whole bunch of verses in here where it's a warning that if you keep breaking the law and not doing right, that you're going to get driven off the land and you're going to get driven out the land. And then that happened during what's called the Babylonian Wars. Man, it's when a percentage of us was taken to Babylon, like 1%, and then the 99% ran into Africa, all the tribes, because I show in history that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. It never was any 10 lost tribes, and those are myths that was created by the people that we abandon our heritage to. And I'm going to go a little more in detail with this. But look at this, look. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curses which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations where the Elohim hath driven thee. Meaning that we was going to have to get up off the land, and that we got the blessings because we got into the promised land. We got into the promised land. We was getting into the promised land under Prophet Joshua. And then how we got kicked out in the book of Jeremiah. Man, it's like almost 800 years later. And then, we ain't been a people since. We got kicked out. And that's when they put all those derogatory titles on us after being captured in Africa, where we went to hide from doing the covenant that Prophet Moses gave us. Alright, and then while all this was going on, man, it's a group of people that's observing us in the land, looking at us making all these blunders and errors, and those are going to be the Amorites. The Amorites. And I'm going to show that the Amorites been in our heritage, man, a long time. Man, a long time the Amorites been in our heritage. And then if you go to the book of Joshua, I'm going to try to find the part where it showed that the Amorites first got into our heritage. This is when they first got into our heritage. Now, remember that the Amorites control go all the way from Mesopotamia, Mesopotamia to the Promised Land. The Amorite control go all the way from Mesopotamia to the Promised Land, and that how that when we come up out of Egypt to take the land. We was taking the land from the Amorites, as listed, in Tanakh. It name all the Canaanite tribes, and all those Canaanite tribes gonna be mixed with Nephilim and Raphaim and so forth, and they would, not have their pigmentation. Same thing that happened to Edom. When Edom went into the Canaanite tribes, his descendants would lose their pigmentation unless they mix with some more of the Hamites and so forth. Ishmael descendants, and I could show that happening in Tanakh history. But look, those Amorites, man, they ruled it from here all the way, from here all the way there. And that's where the Amorites' control was. Well, I'm finna show some Amorites getting in our heritage and never leaving, and got control of the Israelite heritage now, to where you would question that, man, can the Israelites ever come back into their original heritage with these peoples claiming and dominate the Israelite heritage? Man, besides Ashkenazi. Besides Ashkenazi. You people don't know the Ashkenazi, the people that's in our heritage, were called Scythians in the BCE days, and they come from Babylon too, and they settled in. These are the people that chased us out during the Babylonian Wars, that chased us into Africa, because we kept doing the Egyptian religion, and they would get a hold to our heritage too, and then that's why I come is two Israelite heritage. One is dominated by the Sephardic groups, and the other one is dominated by Ashkenaz. And that's the Sephardic group right there. The Sephardims, who are really Amorites, and they come from Babylon, and they would get in our heritage, man, a couple of times, man, quite a few times throughout history, and people in the world look at them as the original Israelites. That's like, I'm gonna break away from the subject just for a second. Man, that's like the little situation that's going on with Ukraine. How about the Amorites, who are Sephardi's, are from Syria. Syria right here. This is part of the ancient homeland. And then I can show him, I think I got a video explaining this, where that when Ashkenazi through the United States and other Western nations tried to take over Syria, Damascus, and that slick trying to take over Sephardi's ancient Amorite homeland. And then that's why I come, the Sephardi's activate the nations that they did trade with and slick control and help develop, activated them to go attack Ukraine, which is Ashkenazi's ancient homeland and so forth. And the Khazars and man, everybody stayed there that's kin to Ashkenazi in Ukraine, and that's an Ashkenazi Scythian homeland. And then you see what's happening to it is being taken from them because they went and tried to disturb the Amorite Sephardi's ancient homeland. Now both of them residing in the promised land, pretending that it's their land. And then how did they mechanisms is working for them? The mechanisms is working for them. The Russians is working for them. I think I got pictures with Putin, with all these Sephardi's and so forth. I think I got a picture with him with nothing but Sephardi's, Putin, and that they taking the Ukraine, Ashkenazi, ancient homeland, man, away from them. And that's because Ashkenazi went and tried to take Syria or be disturbed in Syria, which is an Amorite ancient homeland. You know that's an Amorite ancient homeland. Syria is. Alright, now let's see if I can get a picture. Man, let's see if I can get a picture with Putin. With Putin with all with the game. With the Amorite gang. Putin gonna be with the Amorite gang. If I can locate that picture. I'm trying to. You know, it seems like you can find every picture in the world when when you when you want to. But then when you start looking for it for a reason, then it's it ain't there. Let's see. Yeah, the Sephardists tried to take the Ashkenazi tried to take the Sephardists' homeland, which is Syria, and they sprung they mechanisms that they done created long time ago. You know, they control a whole lot of nations by proxy, And, all right, here it is. Here it is. See, there go Putin. There go your boy Putin. There go your boy Putin. All right. See, there go Putin with the Sephardi community. All of those are Sephardi, Haredim. You know, that's the Haredim. And then when Ashkenazi went and attacked Syria and tried to take it, that set this in motion. Set the Sephardi's pulling their strings, and now you see Ukraine being taken by Russia, who is backed by Sephardists. I mean, it's like all the ancient nations like Russia and the Eastern nations and so forth see the Sephardists as the Israelites. You know, they see the Sephardists as the Israelites because they've been having our heritage for a long time. And then having it for a long time, mean they went to all these different nations, doing trade. Doing trade, as you see. Look here, all in Russia, man, they doing trade and they setting up. And then they will have influence, man, in those lands and so forth. You know, the Eastern nations, man, is controlled by Sephardi. And the Western nations is controlled by Ashkenazi. And then that's the war that's going on right now. And that's the war that's going on in the Promised Land, because in Muslim countries, in all the Muslim nations, you will see Sephardi living men amongst Islam, the Islamic nations, and support them. Man, support them thoroughly. Man, I got pictures with, them holding the Palestinian flags and so forth, and back them. And back them. Watch this here, I'm going to show you one. Look, you see that right there? That's Sephardi. And they lived in all the Arabic and Muslim nations. And I say that they the creators of Islam on the slick and in Arabia, Jordan area and so forth, when the Edomite Jews that Harnicus converted in 130 BC was around Muhammad and was the only Jews in Arabia and so forth. In those parts were the ones that Harnicus men converted. So these folks got a long time, men, of having our heritage, and being portrayed as Israelites, and that it'll make you wonder that can the real Israelites actually come back, meaning to their heritage, because these people's been had it for so long, and that the world only see them as Israelites. But we're gonna see, the scriptures, say that the real Israelites supposed to come back into their heritage after the blessings and the curses got them. And we know that the peoples who claiming a Israelite heritage didn't go through the biblical curses that the Israelites were subjected to, and only that the people from the transatlantic slave trade been through those curses, and those are the Israelites that ran into Africa in the book of Jeremiah. Yes. Yeah, so the let me show you this here so you folks will know. Alright. This is in 130 BC. This is in 130 BC where what Hanukkah's instituted military conversion of Edomites during this campaign. Hanukkah's conquered everything. Hanukkah's then instituted forced conversion on the Edomites to Judaism. And that's them right there. And they got pigmentation, and they been all over the world doing trade and so forth. They've been all over the world doing trade, but mostly in the eastern nations. They got control. And Ashkenazi wrestled control to the western nations control from them. All right, Israelites, let's go into what I was showing at first, and how that the Babylonian Amorites. Look, Amorites. Let's establish this. Look, Amorites. You know what I'm saying? A people from the Levant, initially appearing in Sumerian records in 2500 BCE. They expanded the rule mostly of the Levant, Mesopotamia, and parts of Egypt from the 21st century to the 17th century. They established several prominent city-states in the existing locations, such as Lasan and Mari. Oh man, that's where they come from. The latest, and later founded Babylon in the old Babylonian Empire. They also founded the fort. You know what I'm saying? But the old Babylonian Empire, those Amorites founded in one of the main important cities. One of the main important cities where all the scribes and the peoples who set up governments and govern the god worship gonna come from Sippar. Sippar is where the Sippar is where the Sepharvims come from. And the Sepharvim is the Hebrew word for Sephardi, Sephardic, and Sephardim. And they are Canaanites, and they was placed in our land in 722 BC. The scribes, the ones that absorb religions and other people cultures. See why all those other ethnic groups like the Kassites and man, a whole bunch of different little ethnic groups or tribes that settled in Babylon. I mean, they absorbed their gods, their history, and put the Babylonian culture on them. Well, that's what happened to the Israelites when we was captured and we fell under their control, is that they'll put the Babylonian culture on us that come from Sippar. And that's what the Western governments are controlled by, all the way down to the streets, from the judgeship all the way down to the streets. The whole administrative order that we have today, the naming of streets, the police, the fire department, the judges, and all the things that make a civil society, these folks had it in Babylon, and that's what we're governed by. And these people governed the Israelite history under the title Sephardi, but they are really from Sepharvim. That's Sippar. That's going to be this place called Sippar in Babylon. This is where they from. And look, you see those nations right there, those cities and so forth that they created in Babylon. But you see Sippar right there. That's where the Sephardi's are from. There's only two set of Jews that control our heritage. Sephardi, and Ashkenazi. In the Sephardi branches are the Sephardic and Sephardim. They're the same people. It's just that the Sephardim is gonna be the Edomite ones. Them the ones that got pigmentation. That'll be these folks right here. That that'll be them right there. That'll be them right there. Pure Edomites. That was converted to our heritage in 130 BC under John Harnick, because I control that. And let me say I showed you that. And they would control, the land for a long time, off and on, with what's called the Crusader Wars. When Islam conquered the Promised Land, they held control. And when Christianity conquered the Promised Land, Ashkenazi had control. And that's been going on backwards and forth for a long time. But you see how they from Amorite, and I'm going to show you the Sephardims being placed in our land in 722 BC. But how that they are Amorites, and that how the Amorites always been in our heritage from the beginning. And that's a cold thing. The Amorites been in our heritage from the beginning. And that's when you read Joshua 9. And then you get to reading down, and it'll tell you how they tricked us, and how they tricked us and used deceit. But those are the Gabonites. The Gabonites, we will make them hang around with whatever holy congregation that we build, or whatever building that we build, a temple that we build to worship Almighty Yah. We made a stupid vow during Joshua time that we'll make them servants of the temple, the wood gatherers, the wood cutters, and the masons, and had them do all the stuff around the temple. And that was real something stupid that we did, because when we got chased out the land for the Egyptian religion, them folks was stealing our land and stealing our heritage. They were still in our land and still in our heritage. They were still in our land and still in our heritage. And man, we lost everything, man, to them. But we lost everything to them. Them right there. And Israelites cannot say that, well, with them some Caucasians, and it was all black folks in the land. No. That I can show that it was non-pigmented peoples and King David's army. It was non-pigmented peoples in King David's army. And then we had this law right here. Man, we had this law right here that, it wasn't about, your skin color. It was about the worship of Almighty Yah, because I could show Uri the Hittite, and we know the Hittites were of a European stock. But look, if you read Leviticus 13, and it tell you, when the plague of leprosy is in a man, this 13:9, and then he shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall see him. And behold, if the rising of the white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there is quick raw flesh in it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And we got to get on. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that had the plague, from his head even to his foot, wherever so the priest looketh, then the priest shall consider him, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that had the plague. It is all turned white. So, man, it wasn't about your skin color in a sense, but about your ability to worship Almighty Yah. And that's what it was about back then. So we had all kind of different ethnic groups and peoples in the land, and a lot of them we didn't chase out. A lot of them we didn't chase out, man. If you read the book of Judges, man, if you read the book of Judges, man, it'll tell you, man, that we basically left all the folks there that we didn't drive out or was supposed to drive out, and how we left them all there. Everybody there. Man, if you read man, the book of Judges, from its beginning, you will see that we left all the tribes. We took a lot of the land. We took 85% of the land. And some of the land we didn't take, and we left them Amorites and the other folks there. All right, those folks will be there. And then I just did a video showing you how the strangers had to do our law. And if the strangers doing our law and the real Israelites run out, and man, it'll make you think that can the real Israelites come back, man, and get their heritage, because the Amorites got the land back from the Israelites. Will they get to keep it forever? Man, it almost seemed like it, and it almost seemed like it's been forever, long as they've been had our heritage. But in the book of Judges, if you read it, we never ran all them folks out. We never ran all them folks out. And then I was talking about them folks being the Gabonites, being Amorites. If you go to Second Samuel, that'll be, let me see, Second Samuel, that'll be 2 Samuel 21. 2 Samuel 21. And then you will see 2 Samuel 21 2. You'll see that the Gabonites were Amorites. That'll be those same folks right there. That'll be them same people right there. And look, alright, so this is the Gabonites. This is 2 Samuel 21. And then when you get down to 2, and the king called the Gabonites, and said unto them, now the Gabonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remain of the Amorites, which the children of Israel had, so that'll be these folks right here that Joshua is making servants. The ones in chapter 9, they are all from Babylon now. You know what I'm saying? They ruled from Babylon to the promised land, or to Egypt, and they're all Amorites. And then here we go making some Amorites work in whatever establishment that we would have, and that how that we made a promise to them, and Joshua made peace with them and made a league with them to let them live, and the princes of the congregation, they come to pass at the end of 3 days. You know what I'm saying? But we found out who they was, and then we made them carriers of the of wood, and do everything that, that a servant would do. And that doomed us, because we would lose our heritage, and them people would still be in our heritage. And then if you go to 2 Kings 17:24, and you're gonna see the Sephardims being placed in our land. The Sephardims, and I just showed you who they were. Alright. Alright. This in 722 BC. Look, and the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cutter, and from Abel, and from Hamath, and from where? Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. And then it'll tell you how they did they Babylonian worship, and mixed it with our heritage and so forth. Now I'm gonna show 7 years, I think, 7 years or something like that, and then them folks coming to be with King Hezekiah. Man, I turned right to it. Oh, that's frightening, right there. I turned right actually to it. And if you go to Second Chronicles 25. Now these peoples being placed in our land in 722 BC, and how that they would come to Passover dinner in 715 with King Hezekiah. And all the congregation of Judah with the priests and the Levites and all the congregation that come out of Israel and the strangers that come out of the land of Israel that dwell in Judah rejoiced. They came to the Passover dinner. So we already know from me showing that the strangers in our land have to do the same heritage that we do. So just imagine when we Israelites get ran out the land, when we get chased out the land for saying we're going to do Egyptian religion, that those folks from Babylon is going to be still there. And they ain't going to get chased out by they people from Babylon. And then I show how them folks went to Babylon, man, and created schools. Man, they had a school called Plumblita. Man, I think I'm pronouncing it right. Let me see if I can find it. But how that they had a schools in Babylon to absorb our heritage away from the promised land. You know, away from the promised land. And then what a coincidence is that we Israelites were taken to we Israelites were taken to Babylon during the Babylonian wars, and that how that they came to, and that how that we was told to leave Babylon or destruction or be up on us, but how that those folks stayed there and made schools and so forth, and had a school, Plumblita. I'm gonna see if I can find it. I had it at one time. And look, they would get their land back. Well, basically, they never left. And that'll be, look, to show you that the Amorites, you know, look, got Jerusalem, and that Jerusalem belonged to the Amorites, and that how did his man, it make you think that can we ever come back into heritage, being that they've been under Israelite title for so long. Look, this will be 4. This is Ezekiel 16:4. And as for thy nativity, no, the 3. And say, this saith the Elohim Yah unto Jerusalem, thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother a Hittite. So them Amorites from Babylon and from the promised land, that man, that when we left, that they was in our heritage, and they will be seen as Israelites over a long period of time. And it make you wonder that will we get to come back into our heritage? The Amorites got the land back from the Israelites. Will they get to keep it forever? Man, it seems like it, because the people think that the Amorites are the Israelites. And they're not. They're not. They're not. Alright. Let's see if I can find this school. Plumblita. Man, that's a school that they had in Mesopotamia, to where that they, this where they dissected all the history and so forth, all the Israelite history, and created books, and then those books would make folks think that they are the Israelites, and they've been scribing forever. They've been scribing from ever. Man, it's called Plumblita. Let me see if I can spell it. It's P-U. Let's see if we can get that spelled. Now, this will be where they went to dissect our information and create create schools and so forth. They created schools. The Plumblita academies. This is, in Jewish Encyclopedia go into it, but that's the name of the schools, the towns in Babylon was situated on the bank of the river of the Euphrates and sits on the. But that's where they would dissect our heritage in Babylon. And they are not the real Israelites, because if you go to the book of Jeremiah and then you read, I think it's, let me see what the Creator told us. I turn right to it again. All right. For Israel had not been forsaken, nor Judah of his Yah. This is Jeremiah 50. Nor Judah of his Yah of the Elohim of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Look, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Elohim vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. You know, so the Israelites was told to leave Babylon, but yet these folks from Sipper that went back to Babylon from the promised land, because remember the promised land belongs to them in Babylon. Man, before we Israelites ever exited Egypt or ever become an Israelite nation, in that how prophet Abraham was dealing with the with the Amorites way back then. You know, but those Amorites would set schools up and they would go to Babylon when we was taken to Babylon during the Babylonian wars, and they would, you know, come back to the promised land as well as stay in Babylon, and they would create schools and so forth. All right, let's show Prophet Abraham dealing with some Amorites way back in the days, and them the same ones that set the schools up in Babylon. That would make you wonder that if the Israelites could ever come back into their heritage, because these people got such a tight hold on it. All right. And when you get to 18, Genesis 18, and then you read, man, about Prophet Abraham saving those, saving them Canaanites and so forth, because when we come out of the Mesopotamia area, because Almighty Yah told him to get away from there, because Abraham's father and forefathers was, you know, on the Amorite gods and so forth, and then how Prophet Abraham went to the promised land, and then when he come to the promised land, that the Amorites was getting robbed and so forth, and to show his good faith and would be able to stick around in the promised land, Prophet Abraham whooped them other nations and then got his stuff back, because the peoples from the eastern nations came and robbed Sodom and Gomorrah and so forth, where the Amorites hung out at. And then Prophet Abraham went and got his stuff back that they took, and then gave the Amorites back their stuff, and then that legitimized our forefathers staying in the land. But he was dealing with Amorites then. Look, Genesis 14:13, and there come one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Merimah, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and the brother of Anar, and these were confederate with Abraham, because he had to get to stay in the land, and they went and helped them get their stuff back. But look, those Amorites been in our heritage for a long time, and when we got chased out, they still got our heritage, to make you wonder that will they be able to keep our heritage forever? They're not going to be able to keep our heritage forever if Israelites waking up to the history that I'm showing for the Israelite Brotherhood, that we should see them real easy and understand what's going on real easy and so forth. All right, Israelites, I just want to just put this little history out here that, you know, the Amorites got the land back from the Israelites, where they get to keep it forever. And when we come out of Egypt, that they got in our heritage in Exodus. I mean, doing Exodus with in the book of Joshua, as Gabonites. Then some was placed in our land in 722 BC by the Assyrians. All right, and then when we get chased out the land, they've been in our land so long that the world would think that they were Israelites, and that how that we Israelites, abandon everything to them, and then that's why I come in to make you wonder: can we ever come back into our heritage? Because these people's been had it for so long, and it seemed like they got it solid, down packed, and not finna turn it loose. Look, but this is what caused them to get everything. This is during the Babylonian Wars, what caused those folks to get control, and this is what we did. All right, then all the men, this is Jeremiah 44:15. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and the women that stood by a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt and Pathros, asked Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken to us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of victuals and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. So we thought that us not doing the Egyptian religion is what caused the Babylonians and all the other evils to fall upon us, because we wasn't doing the Egyptian religion. All right, we got tricked out of our heritage, and then them people are Amorites, close offshoot of the Hamites, but that they just mixed with some Nephilims and so forth, and that they got our heritage. And man, it's been rough for us trying to get it back, but we're gonna get it back. So they not gonna be able to keep it forever with all the verses in the Tanakh showing that we got to come home, and that we gonna come home. That we gonna come home. I'm trying to see if I could pull up, man, a couple of them verses where it show that we're gonna get our heritage back. Man, if you go to 49, I think Jeremiah 49, it kind of goes into it. Well, this says the Redeemer of Israel and his Holy One, to whom they had despised, him whom the nations abhorred, to his servant of rulers, kings shall see and arise, princes also shall worship, because of the Elohim that is faithful in the Holy One of Israel, and he shall choose thee. And in an acceptable time have I heard thee, and in day of salvation have I helped thee, and I will preserve thee and give thee for a covenant of the people, to establish the earth, to cause to inherit the desolate heritage, and so forth. And we know, that's the promised land, and then been tore up through wars more than any other nations on the face of this earth. All right, Israelites, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. I just want to show that the Amorites got our heritage and been in it for a long time, and it make you wonder, can we come back into heritage? How long did they been held on to it? But if you understand this, that them folks only got our heritage because we abandoned it to them, then you'll know that Almighty Yah got a bigger plan, and that we Israelites are gonna come back into our heritage. We're coming back into our heritage now with this knowledge that we got. Shalom to the Israelite community.